Jack Harrison is heading back to Leeds United. Yes, that is correct, ladies and gentlemen. Everton have announced that the on-loan Leeds United winger will be returning to Leeds United this summer after spending the last 2 seasons on loan at the Merseyside club. What does this mean for Leeds United? What does it mean for Jack Harrison? Let's get into it. How's it going, everybody? It is Charlie. Welcome back to Chatting Leeds. As I said in the intro there, this evening we are here to discuss Jack Harrison. Now, Everton have announced earlier on this afternoon that him and a few of their other loan signings will be returning to their parent club this summer. And of course, it has sparked a lot of conversation, a lot of discourse around it. And some fans, from what I'm seeing, would be okay with Jack Harrison returning to the club this summer and staying, whereas others are not so sure. Let's put it that way. And I'm going to just give my thoughts on the situation, my thoughts on Jack Harrison as a player. And yeah, basically, if I think he should return to the club this summer. Now, when Jack Harrison was previously at the club, I thought he was an okay footballer. I thought he had a certain ceiling that I just don't think he was ever going to get further than. And it is funny because when you look at his time at the club, his stats are actually quite good in terms of a Leeds United standpoint. Scored quite a few goals, got quite a few assists under his belt. A wicked first touch, the ability, to hit a ball so cleanly with that left foot. And as I've said a few times on uploads recently, we haven't got like a left-footed, left-sided midfielder at the club. So maybe you could look at it from his previous time at Leeds and think he could come back, he could swap straight back in. I just don't think so. I think there has been too much done, too much said on his part. And, there's people that compare, Brendan Aronson and Max Verber. The difference between them two and Jack Harrison is that at least, Brendan Aronson, for example, he came back after having a year out on loan where it didn't quite work for him at Union Berlin. Comes back to Leeds United, gets his head down. And yeah, he has been frustrating to watch at periods throughout this season just gone. And, I don't think Brendan Aronson will work in the Premier League. However, he still came back and he contributed a great deal to Leeds United getting promoted this season. And like I said, it's been frustrating to watch at times, and it can be. It can just be really frustrating to watch. But he's come back, he's got his head down, he's contributed a great deal. Max Verber, yeah, slightly different, but still came back, still kind of got on with it. Yes, he may have wanted to leave in both windows, but he didn't. He stuck about. He scored a goal for us this season, and was at least part of that squad. Jack Harrison thought he was better than us, thought that he was a Premier League player and, could hack it in the Premier League. The majority of Everton fans, from what I see online, have not rated him. I think this season that's just finished yesterday in the Premier League, he scored 1 goal and no assists. When you compare that to Dwight McNeil, who's played not as many games as Jack Harrison, he's scored 4 goals and had 6 assists. So when you compare the two, it's like chalk and cheese. And yes, he's been playing under Sean Dyche, which could have hindered his style of play. David Moyes has come in and, a little bit better than Sean Dyche, but a similar sort of approach to how he sets his teams up. Still not got the best out of Jackie. Then you've got the things that were said in his first season at Everton, when I think they'd beaten Burnley at Turf Moor. His mum's in the crowd. Someone's filming her, and they're saying to him, don't go back to Leeds, stay at Everton. And she goes, I effing hope not, on about us. Yeah, you might think, it's not that bad, things get said, but I think she'd be a little bit worried about coming back to Ellen Road to watch Jack Harrison should he stay at the club this summer. Angus Kinnear has obviously gone in at Everton now. He knows the situation as to how Jack Harrison managed to leave, and maybe he will have been privy to conversations behind the scenes between Jack Harrison and Leeds United, so he'll know where his head was at. And it's interesting that obviously he's now at Everton and he's basically, sent Jack Harrison packing. They're not going to be having him on loan again. There's no talk about them trying to sign him permanently. They've thanked him for his efforts over the 2 seasons that he's been at the club. And just wished him all the best. So he's definitely not going back to Everton. He's returned to Thorpe Arch apparently today. And Leeds United do face a bit of a dilemma now, because it has been proven with the likes of you could even bring Willing onto into the conversation. Yes, he didn't actually leave, but he requested to leave. He was frozen out of the team, but Daniel Farke allowed him to come back into the fold, and he's kind of got back on the fans' side now. There might be certain fans that still don't forgive him for what he did, but the majority of fans are really on Nonto's side now. Brendan Aronson, again, like I've just said, whatever you think of him, he came back in, he contributed. He'll have a certain portion of the fan base back on side, that will maybe not have forgotten, but maybe forgive. And obviously there's Max Ferber, which I don't really like to bring into the conversation because he barely featured this season. But it's proven that it can be done in terms of players who seem to have, left, and, got a certain attitude about them and, think they're better than us, and the fans are aware of it, but they've still come back in and it's kind of just gone on as normal. So it can be done. I just think, however, that for Jack Harrison and Leeds United to part ways this summer, it'd just be the best for all parties involved. I just don't see Jack Harrison being able to come in and get the fans back on side. Yes, people will say, he could come in and score the winner on the opening day of the Premier League and people forget about it, but I just don't think that'd be the case. I think Jack Harrison's a very limited footballer, and yes, he would be free because he's our player and it'd be like a new signing on a free, but I just think he's a very limited footballer, and I do seriously think that we can do better. Yeah, that could come back to bite me on the backside if he goes to a Premier League club and does really well, but I will still stand by it. I don't think Jack Harrison should stay at Leeds United. But would it surprise me if Leeds United kept in the summer? No, it wouldn't. And maybe in a few months' time, if he did stay, I could be speaking differently about him, but I just can't see it. I think even he himself, he will want to leave Leeds United. He'll know the reception that he's probably going to get. And yeah, like I said, guys, I just think for everyone involved, I just think it'd make sense for Jack Harrison to leave the club this summer. I want to know all of your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Do you think Leeds United should keep Jack Harrison, sell Jack Harrison, or even maybe send him out on another loan deal? Please let me know in the comment section below, guys, with all your thoughts and opinions on that. If you've enjoyed the content, make sure that you're liking, make sure you're commenting, and most importantly, make sure you are subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.